Hello, my B5 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another Coffeehouse Crime. This one is titled, Officers Discover Sick Creeps Plot to Murder Celebrity. Well, shit. It's hard being a celebrity sometimes, y'all. Shit. All right. I'm ready to get in today's video. If you guys are as ready as I am, please go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, couple, something special. Let's get flabbergasted. I just wanted to really use that. Sounds like a good word. Good word for the day. Let's do it.
This is award-winning presenter, author, and model Holly Willoughby. And this is her attempted kidnapper and murderer, Big Bear. Thankfully, some incredible detective work stopped his plans in their tracks. But had he been given the opportunity to conduct his master plan, Holly would have been at the mercy of a truly sick and disturbing individual. And so today, we are diving into the world of Big Bear, also known as Gavin Plum. We will look into his twisted and violent history, and how it would all end. Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime, folks. My name is Adrian, and today we're looking at one of the most horrifying plans to abduct a celebrity. Now, this man truly is revolting, so one word of warning, you aren't going to like him or the scheme he was plotting. Another obvious thing, but today we are not in the coffee house. Put quite simply, it is way too warm to be recording in the studio, so instead, you're in my home. Not only that, but my camera decided to crap out as well, so today it's just slightly different, but pretty much the same thing. Before we get into this video today, I wanted to talk very quick about my production schedule, or what's outside of it. With my recently light schedule, this is probably quite obvious, but life aside, sometimes researching, writing, and recording true crime can be quite intense on the brain. Now, I have found many ways on how to relax in my given downtime, one of them being mobile gaming. And that's where this video's sponsor, Matchmasters, comes in. Matchmasters is a free-to-play game that has mastered the Match 3 puzzle game. You can play against people all over the world, or against your friends and family. Even me, if you search hard enough. Matchmasters sharpens your brain while keeping the game fresh, with daily game modes, tournaments, and rewards. You can unlock boosters as you progress, and show off sequences when it's all over. I love the powerful Owl booster, who's able to give me some huge point streaks and push me ahead of my opponents. So, if you're like me and looking for a fun, easy, and exciting game to play in your downtime, then check out Matchmasters. You can download the game on iOS and Android for free through my link below. When you open it, you'll receive a special starter advantage pack full of surprises, or scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you to Matchmasters for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you folks for supporting us content creators, and of course, Nero. Now let's get straight back to this case. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee and let's caffeinate while we investigate.
I'm not a big fan of cats, but that is an adorable kitty. That is one adorable kitty. 100% adorable.
In today's video, we'll be keeping to the country that
I'm not a big fan of them because I was bit by one whenever I was younger. I ended up getting cat scratch fever, and I literally almost died from it. I had it gave me a cat scratch fever is like I guess a form of blood poisoning, and I had veins going up my arm, which I know, Bill, we all got veins in our arm. No shit, okay? Jeez, let me get there, all right? Calm down. But I had veins in my arm that were red, and they started because I got bit right here, and the veins start turning red, going up this way. I mean, we didn't think nothing about it at first, and then they got to here, and I started getting real sick. My hands started hurting. This part of my hand swelled up so bad to where it was covering my fingers to right there. That's how bad this was swollen. We went to the hospital, and the doctor's like, what did this? And we told him it was I was bit by a cat. It was our cat. It just got scared. We were sitting on the porch, something happened, it got scared, and it just bit the living shit out of me. Blood everywhere. It was awful. We ended up getting rid of the cat. My dad will not own an animal that bites anybody, especially a kid, for any reason. It's gone. It don't matter if it was scared. It does not matter to him. It's gone. He won't kill it, but it's gone. He will make sure someone else has it that doesn't have kids, or whatever the case may be, or someone with I know that good old saying, "Oh, it's on the farm," but no, he actually knew a lot of people with like farms, like homesteads and hobby farms and stuff like that. And they love to have cats out there to keep stuff out their barns and stuff. So he knew a lot of people like that. He just ended up getting rid of it. I think his name was Colonel Sanders, and I think he ended up living like a really long and happy life. But yeah, the veins got to like, let me move that. Got to like right there, and went to the hospital, and doctor said if we would have waited like another couple hours, I would have been dead. Once those red veins reach your heart just stops. Evidently, I was like, "Holy shit!" They injected me with straight penicillin whenever we first went back, which was so cold, like it literally made my lips turn blue. It was so cold. It was awful, but like, yeah, I guess it's bad. But I love cats. I do. I can't be around them anymore. I'm not supposed to even. I can be in the same room as a cat and be fine, but if a cat were to ever scratch me again, I run the possibility of getting deathly sick and dying from it. So I just stay away from them.
that I currently call home. Of course, that being the historic country of England. Now, I'm sure this country needs no introduction. After all, it's one of the most powerful and influential places in the world, with the likes of the United States, Germany, China, and Russia right beside it. To the average person, England is most known for its affinity for tea, beige food, and football. And although I'll be leaving
the
here
Queen.
soon, I still refuse to call it soccer. Sorry to those across the pond. England
It's
has long
soccer.
been known for its rich history, influence on pop culture, technological development, and of course, the monarchy. The British royal family are like celebrities here, with their faces plastered across magazines,
The Queen.
tabloids, and billboards. Which, as you will soon come to find out, is actually rather applicable to this case here. When someone exposes themselves to the public media, they are often the subject of attention, both welcome or not. From high A-list music artists to pesky online content creators like myself, right the way through to actors and actresses, everyone is in the public eye for anyone to make opinions about. As you can probably guess, I do see the full range right here on my channel. In fact, maybe I should show off some of the best and worst comments from time to time.
Hey,
Anyway,
they're fun, ain't they,
sometimes
bud?
these relationships
Man, I guess being a reaction channel, you're going to say some things that piss some people off. I guess I never really actually thought about it. I mean, I don't care to piss people off by any means. I don't give two shits. I really don't. I never have. Like, that is the one good thing about me. Like, I don't go out of my way to piss people off, but I am the type of person that I'm an acquired taste. I'm like chicken liver. Either you like me so much to where you'll eat me until you're sick, or you'll hate me so much to where as soon as you put me in your mouth, that sounds so fucking okay. But you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Take out the weird innuendo that I wasn't meaning, and you see what you know what I mean. So I have actually gotten like some pretty foul comments. Like you don't think about these people's family being out there, and it's like, wow, this person's a real big true piece of shit doing that and blah 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 blah. Like, you know how I do. And then like some of their family members will go on and be like, hey, that was my uncle. I will find you and I will kill you. And it's like, okay, if you think you can, let's see. You know, you come onto my property, bro. You leaving in a body bag if you're threatening me. Plain and simple, full of holes and in a body bag. I don't care. I own my house. I own my land. I ain't like I have to ask anyone's permission to shoot someone that's trying to kill me. This is America. We were born with guns. By golly. No, I'm not a big fan of them. I'm not. I know I talk about them a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of guns. I like knives. I collect knives. If my weapon of choice would probably be like a sword or a knife or a battle axe. If I'm going crazy, it's going to be medieval. You know what I mean? But I also like to go hunting, fishing, camping, stuff like that. And I'm brave but not stupid, and I know that there's things out in the woods that are 10 times bigger than me, and it's going to take a bullet to stop it. I'm not going to go out there with my saw or a battle axe or a chainsaw and be like, yeah, I can take on a bear. I got my chainsaw. Hopefully it comes at me and I can get to the side and just cut its head off while it just sits there and lets me do it. No, I'm not that stupid, but it would be fun, but I'm not that stupid. So I do have the understanding that guns are necessary sometimes. I'm not a fan. I will use one. I will shoot someone right in their face if they're trying to kill me or hurt my family in any way. I don't care. But I'm not a big fan of it.
Between a figure and an audience member can shift into what is known as a parasocial relationship. This is where a fan has strong feelings and thoughts toward a public figure that are, in fact, not actually reciprocated. And most times,
I think that's natural. Like, you watch someone enough. Like, I have channels I watch on a daily basis. Like, I love to watch gaming channels. And I love gaming. Like, I'm not the biggest gamer in the world, don't get me wrong, but I do love video games. And I like to watch people play video games. I'm one of them weird fuckers. Like, I'll sit down and watch like a full playthrough or something. Just I like me, it's more the storyline in games and stuff like that that I really, really love. I'm not a big online Fortnite type of person or anything like that. Or even like I like Warzone. I like it more than I like other like PUBG style battle games and shit. I do like PUBG. I like the zombies on PUBG. That's fun as shit. But I'll sit down and I'll watch it, and you start to feel like you'll turn on, like I'll be watching, say, the Only Ryan. I really like him. I watch him on Twitch, not the YouTube, but so like he comes. I was like, oh hey buddy, what you getting into today? You know, you feel that closeness. So like it happens. The problem with it is when it goes too far, like, in, you know, it's like, oh, I gotta watch them. Oh, I know what they're talking about, and they have to be talking to me. It's like, no, no. You know, as content creators, we're glad you feel that way. I mean, that's a bond, but we're talking to everyone, even people who don't like us. We're talking to everyone, you know. So it can get dangerous, but it happens.
public figure does not even know that the person exists. More often than not, the
I know you guys exist. I see it when my subscriber count goes up, and I am very grateful. And I love the fact that more and more people are coming to the B5 Nation. Like, that's amazing.
person receiving such attention is blissfully unaware of the relationship that this consumer has curated for themselves. Now, of course, this can be seen and is usually seen as friendly company. But in some cases, it can also develop into extraordinarily unhealthy territory, with this type of concerning behavior often clearly visible online for the whole world to see and spectate. Our dark story today begins on Kick Messenger, which, as most of you will likely already know, is a chatboard app where you can message friends privately or talk in large public forums.
I've never been on Kick.
And although
don't even know what it
is, are merely harmless fan clubs,
I'm not a big social media person. Like, you guys have been a part of this channel for a while and see, like, I have I have X, fucking Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a big fan of TikTok. I did TikTok for a little bit whenever I first started YouTube, and this is not for me. I have an Instagram, I have Twitter, well, X, I have Reddit, Pinterest. I have all of it. And I know I should do more on it, I just don't want to. I'm going to try to start making myself do more on there and be more out there publicly. It's hard for me. I'm an introvert. I am. Like you wouldn't be able to tell it, but I am. And 75% of my life I am introverted, 100%. Here with you guys, I'm extremely extrovert, like 100%. It's crazy, but I don't know.
Others can be a little more on the creepy side. With the rise of the internet and social media, cyber surveillance has become a growing asset to aid law enforcement and crime prevention, with investigators surveying questionable areas of the internet all around the clock. Anyway, it just so happened that a police officer from the Owatonna Police Department, located in Minnesota, USA, was scouring an online kick forum which was concerningly named Abduct Lovers.
I want to move to Minnesota so bad.
As you can possibly guess from the name, it's a forum where people can discuss their fantasies of abducting individuals.
And the reason why is I want to do like my own little hobby farm. I love ranch work. I don't want like a full-on farm to where like it's killing me to do everything. I just want like a little hobby farm, like maybe a couple cows, some chickens, just a few things just to go out there and just can't wait.
For their own self-gratification, which, as you can imagine, is more often than not very sexually charged. Now, the officer scouring this forum had seen his own fair share of degenerate discussions and behavior throughout his years. However, this one particular user stood out to him, that being a man with the name Big Bear 341987. Big Bear, as we will call him, was openly discussing the kidnap and assault of various women, most notably several female celebrities. Within his posts, he admitted that if his so-called plans and fantasies were put into action, he would most likely end up on death row. Naturally, this piqued the officer's interest,
right?
And so he decided to try and contact Big Bear under a fake name, David Nelson. And from here on out, our officer in this story will be called David. Now, thankfully, Big Bear would actually take David's bait, going on to discuss how he had the addresses of many women that he wanted to target and then violate. Not only that, but he even admitted that he had recently attempted to carry out these fantasies in real life itself. Seeing him as a particularly dangerous individual, David decided to persevere in this chat with Big Bear. He played into his disturbing nature, empathized with his lack of satisfaction, and even supported him in his ongoing delusions. And after conversing with him for only a few days, it became apparent that Big Bear's plans were going much, much further than mere fantasy. And through all of this degenerate garbage, it was noted that he had one favourite target, that being the British celebrity Holly Willoughby. Now, over here in the UK, Holly is a well-known public personality, most notably as one of two presenters on the This Morning show. She has also appeared on other presenting primetime TV programs, most recently including Dancing on Ice. Holly's work spans over 2 entire decades, and she is undoubtedly considered to be a household name here in the United Kingdom. So, it is rather understandable how she would become the subject of many parasocial relationships. However, what David was hearing spanned far further than the usual. It was revealed that this man had been obsessing over Holly for over a decade, and was now expressing that mere fantasy was not going to cut it any longer. And so, with this information at hand, David decided to play the long game with Big Bear. And after engaging with him for several months, he would eventually earn his trust. And that is when Big Bear eventually revealed his plan to physically kidnap Holly at her very own home. Not only that, but her family too. The terrifying thing is that Big Bear had been stalking and collecting information on her for over an entire decade. And now he was gearing up to reenact his fantasies in real life for the whole world to witness.
That's not creepy
and
at all.
with Holly now in danger, David knew that something had to be done. He eventually learned that this man behind Big Bear 341987 went by the name of Gavin, and that Gavin was 37 years old, and Gavin told him all about his plot. Apparently, his accomplice had recently chickened out, and so he was more than eager to not only share his passion, but find somebody else to help him in the process. In fact, he became so comfortable with David that he even shared a video of his kidnap kit, consisting of cheap bondage gear that you would likely order from websites such as Wish or Temu. And this is where we will get our first glimpse into Gavin's life, as he surveys his kit and describes what he has acquired. Saying that, the only genuinely threatening thing about his collection so far is probably the substantial amount of metal cable ties that he had garnered. But anyway, I suppose I'll just have to let the man himself show you.
Hands and ankle shackles, ring and ball gag, 3 lots of rope, metal cable ties, 2 sets of handcuffs, 1 set of ankle. 3rd of the 10th, 2023. Holly.
After seeing this video, Officer Nelson began to take Gavin's fantasies a little more seriously.
Yeah.
And so, in order to gain his trust,
just getting creepy
he
now,
offered to
bud.
help him kidnap Holly. Further solidifying his trust, David sent him a fake screenshot of a planned flight from the US to the UK to help. With this information, that is when Gavin revealed that his full name was Gavin Plum, and that furthermore, he lived in Essex country, located slightly northeast of London. This was enough information to pass on to the local police in the UK, who would then conduct an investigation into Gavin's online behaviour themselves. And eventually, with all of the information provided to them from the United States, Essex police had enough evidence to pay our online Casanova a little home visit, all of which was captured on body cam for the whole world and you to see.
What's going on? What the hell is going on?
Listen to what my colleague's got to say. Right, you're under arrest on suspicion of conspiracy to kidnap. You do not have to say anything.
What is going on? What are you talking about?
Mention one question, something which relates to line for anything you do so may begin with.
Can you tell me what you're talking about?
You're getting new, babe, alright?
You are very gentle.
Necessities for the arrest are to allow for a prompt and effective investigation by interview and to prevent any further physical harm to the person. Okay, we'll talk about it back.
To who? Can you please explain to me what the hell is going on?
So, at the moment, you're under arrest for conspiracy to kidnap.
Who?
Holly Willoughby.
I don't think those ones are warm.
That's the allegation.
Okay, where's that come from?
Like I said, it'll be explained to you in custody, and you'll be interviewed about it. I'm not going to tell you any further than that at this current time, okay?
Okay then.
But that is the allegation.
I'm not going to lie, she's a fantasy of mine. I mean, she's a fantasy of a lot of guys, isn't she?
Right. You can go anywhere in Florida.
Being destroyed.
Mate, if you'd have knocked, I would have opened and spoke to you.
As we said, the reason
I was literally just about to go to bed.
The reason that they're going into that is because of the offence that you've been arrested for. We need to make sure that we can gather as much evidence as we can, as quickly as we can. So we've had to put the door in to secure the evidence. Alright?
You've got no reason.
So yeah, that clueless act Gavin really isn't looking to fool anyone here. It wasn't
Right.
until after his arrest and the subsequent forensic investigation of his home, personal computers, laptops and online presence that the sheer gravity of this depraved man's obsession would finally come to light. And also the realization that this unhealthy obsession with women was not a recent fixation of Gavin's. As you can see, his home was a complete wreck. Collectibles were strewn across the place, a foul smell hung in the air, and food containers and beer cans littered the various cluttered surfaces. Now, amongst all of this clutter, the police of course retrieved various devices and hard drives. Of all people, they know that a computer is the best place to start, and what they found was deeply concerning. Not hundreds, but thousands of images of Holly were discovered, some of which were deepfake images created by AI. And as you can imagine, most of those images were sexual in nature. In recent years, the controversial subject of what is now dubbed deepfake pornography has become a serious problem right across the board. Within seconds, you can upload images of anyone into various AI programs in order to produce whatever desired outcome. So, let's say you upload someone's face and ask these programs to create pornographic imagery of them. Well, it's in the realm of capability, which is an extraordinarily disturbing problem to say the least. Honestly, folks, if you thought that the internet was full of fake images, videos, and news before AI came around, well, good luck to us in the future.
Right.
Anyway, the absolutely mind-boggling thing here is that officers would find over 10,000 images and videos across his devices, all of which were alongside a handwritten list of over 130 women that Gavin had fantasized about. And yeah, as you can imagine, right at the top of all of this was his leading lady, Holly Willoughby. To add to this, it was also noted that Gavin had taken many photos from his home window in Harlow, Essex, where he would photograph female strangers who passed by, and the neighbouring women around him. According to his neighbours, he had always been quite a peculiar individual. I mean, all of them knew that he'd sat at his window and surveyed everyone, though he never seemed to make any effort to interact with those around him. However, his strange behaviour can be partially explained by his childhood experiences, so let's dive into that. Scaling back several decades, Gavin was born in February 1987 and was one of 4 sons growing up with his mother and stepfather. It is said that Gavin rarely ever left his hometown, Harlow, which is known to be a commuter town to London. A neighbour described the family as positively normal, and all 4 boys often played outside their house after school and on weekends. However, Gavin seemed to be heavily bullied due to his ongoing weight issues while growing up, pushing him more and more into his shell and tapping away at his already fragile confidence.
That's awful.
It is also said that Gavin was an unremarkable teenager, finishing secondary school with below average grades, and his early adulthood seemed to be filled with odd jobs in hospitality. At the time of his obsession, he was employed as a security guard at the Pinnacles shopping centre in Harlow, which, ironically, is actually a place I've been to a couple times. But strangely enough, it wasn't actually his arrest that first got his face on television. In fact, in the year 2018, he appeared on a BBC documentary about his own weight loss, as due to his sedentary and unhealthy lifestyle, Gavin had grown to become a whopping 35 stone, 490 pounds, or 220 kilograms. Sadly, he lived his entire life inside of his flat, sat at his computer, and obsessed over the many women that he, quite frankly, could never be with. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, and there have been speculations that maybe he was actually part of the incel movement. However, he never seemed to refer to himself as one, so that's kind of open. After his arrest, it was discovered that this was not actually Gavin's first tussle with the law either, nor was it the first time that others observed his extremely worrying behaviour towards women. In fact, as early as the year 2006, he had been reported for harassing a woman who we will only refer to as Maria for privacy's sake. After Gavin's deadly plot was publicised, Maria decided to step forward to share her own experience with him. You see, Maria worked as an airline stewardess at the time. It was one evening while on a train back from the airport that Gavin sat opposite to her, and in her own words, this is the experience she had with him. He passed me a note. I thought it was just some piece of paper. I didn't even look at what he was doing. I ignored it. He then pushed it forward for me to read, and when I read it, it was something along the lines of, "Get off the train with me, be quiet, don't do anything, get off the train with me, and nothing will happen to anybody." He had a rope and a replica gun on him, and as I read the note, it was only then that I looked at him. My first impression was that he was huge, and I had no chance. There was this moment when I was frozen and scared, but I was also in disbelief. I thought maybe he was joking, it was absurd, but then he started approaching me with his hands. He held his hand on my knee and indicated, "We are going to go." Realizing that the next station was a small secluded village, Maria knew that she couldn't get off the train with this man. And so, looking around rather panicked, she made eye contact with another woman who sought help from another man on the train. And no surprise, as the pair approached Gavin, he fled instead. Records show that he tried again only a few days later, thankfully only to fail a second time.
Thank
but
God for that.
unfortunately, no legal action was taken against him, and he was free to continue to dwell on his
How is no legal action going to be taken against a motherfucker that's literally trying to, like, kidnap and kill people?
dangerous fantasies. Rather unsurprisingly, and as we go up the ladder of escalation, only 2 years later, he was caught attempting another kidnap. This time, it was against a pair of 16-year-old girls, who were both younger and more vulnerable than his previous targets. He even managed to bind up their wrists and attempt to force them into a storage room within a department store. But thankfully, he was then discovered and his plan failed. Now, it is quite clear that his failure evidently ruminated within him, and that is when he sought online solace and began to obsess over women that he could never have and share these fantasies with like-minded individuals. All of this online activity came to further light the more that his devices were scoured. In fact, they would even find that his former accomplice was an Irish man named Mark, and that the two were very serious with their fantasies. Detectives discovered that Gavin and Mark were planning a home invasion at Holly's address, which they managed to discover in December of 2021. And although she did live there safely
Fucking
with her
ridiculous.
husband and 3 children, the perverted man's dark plan would tragically involve the entire family. The plan was that, in the dead of night, the pair would break into the property and then use chloroform on the entire family, knocking all of them unconscious. Evidence shows that this was a serious consideration, as bottles of chloroform were recovered from Gavin's apartment following his arrest.
What the
Furthermore,
fuck, bro?
this plan was reinforced through his very own voice note, which we have right here.
Right, plan of action. I'll give you a brief rundown. Basically, we're gonna hit it at night. Less traffic on the road, etc. Chloroform both of them. That way, then they can both be easily restrained.
And this wouldn't be the only creepy voice note that he would send about his future plans for Holly and her family, because further messaging Mark, he would go on to say this.
British Jabba the
We're
Hutt
then
looking
gonna force her
motherfucker.
to make a video just saying that she come with us under her own free will. That she's with us under her own free will. No, she's fully consenting into everything we do to her. So that covers us.
Outside of these voice notes, Gavin expressed exactly what he was going to do with Holly after he had caught her, all of which was, no surprise, extremely sexually motivated and fell well into the
Fucking
realms
disgusting.
of depravity. His plans involved tying her up and sexually assaulting her in front of her entire family to see, before taking her away for further torture. On the topic of information, Gavin had tracked down all of the family members' details, including where they lived and secrets about their personal lives. He further mapped out where the
What
home
the
surveillance
fuck?
cameras were located, the layout of the property, and also identified an abandoned slaughterhouse where they could take Holly after the kidnapping. It would be here that they would continue to assault her before ultimately taking her life and disposing of her body using the leftover machinery within the building.
This is fucking
only
disgusting, bro.
then would Gavin be fully satisfied that Holly was now forever his and his alone. Now, we already know that Gavin's plan was extremely unrealistic and far-fetched, and it does seem that Mark had come to this conclusion too before he decided to cut ties with his online comrade before it was too late. Connecting the dots, this led Gavin to search for a new accomplice, which led him to speak to the undercover officer David, which eventually resulted in his very own arrest. It is worth noting here that Holly Willoughby is a highly protected individual in public and at home, and it's extraordinarily unlikely that Gavin would have even got close to being able to touch her. But
You
the
never know.
motivation and plan were still there. Not only that, but Gavin's physical condition was far from optimal to say the least, and many commented on how he would simply have been unable to carry out his plans effectively. Thankfully, all of this would end with his arrest on October the 4th, 2023, after an
Hell yeah.
extensive online investigation. And upon the revelation of Gavin's kidnap plot, it spread through the media like, well, wildfire to say the least. In fact, it spread almost as fast as it met his own victims' ears. No surprise, Holly Willoughby was traumatized, scared, and distraught to hear the news. And so were her family and friends. Not wanting to fuel the fire on this case, as obviously it gained massive public attention after the media reveal, Holly refused to comment on the situation and instead decided
feed
to
into it.
devote herself to her family and those she cared about. And to no surprise, only 6 days after Gavin Plum's arrest, Holly stepped down from her most well-known appearance as one of the presenters on This Morning to keep her personal matters private. With the sheer amount of evidence recovered from Gavin's flat, it took the authorities many months to build their case against this extremely delusional man. But in the end, Gavin Plum would go on trial in early July 2024 for his crimes against Holly. He was
Really?
officially charged with 1 count of soliciting murder, 1 count of encouraging or assisting the offense of kidnapping, and 1 count of encouraging or assisting the offense of sexual assault. Holly Willoughby was not present at all court proceedings. However, she waived her right to anonymity to advance the case and have Gavin tried for all 3 of his offences. To add to this, she would also submit a victim impact statement to the court, and unsurprisingly, this is kept private and not released publicly, with the judge being satisfied that Gavin's impact statement on her was negatively life-changing. And so, with the extensive amount of evidence in his own personal collections surrounding this celebrity, alongside the thousands of messages he had sent to Mark, the undercover police officer, and dozens of other individuals online, it was clear that Gavin had genuine intent on committing his crimes and causing harm to Holly Willoughby. As a result, the jury's decision on his guilt was unanimous, and Gavin Plum was found guilty on all 3 counts against his victim.
What'd he get?
Following the jury's conclusion, the judge would go on to make this statement. Over a number of years, you pursued an unhealthy sexual obsession with Holly Willoughby that led you ultimately to plan over that period to kidnap, to rape, and to murder her. You intended to harm her husband and her children as part of your plan.
Yep.
You had previously been convicted of terrifying offences involving the threat of sexual violence against 4 different young women. For that, I found you to be dangerous. The jury saw through the various lies that you told at the trial and convicted you of these offences. Now, impressively, Gavin was ultimately given a life sentence for his crimes,
Hell
with a minimum
yeah.
of 16 years to be spent behind bars
What?
before he is eligible for parole. This is quite the enormous sentence when you really think about it.
Not really.
But his history of sexual violence, alongside his recent actions, makes his punishment completely justifiable. In the
Yep.
aftermath of this case, and due to its prolific public presence, misogyny and violence against women were brought to the forefront of discussion here. Gavin's first victim, who of course is nicknamed as Maria, put her own opinion in an interview, stating, "Potentially, every man can be a perpetrator, and I understand that so many women think along the same lines. A large man sitting right next to a girl, well, that is potential danger."
Yep.
It is really sad.
It
but
is.
That is one of those takeaways from this unfortunate story for me. When I look at men, I very often do that quick judgment. What level of danger are they?
Yeah.
As a man, it hurts me to hear
And she has
statements
every
like
right to
this, but it is entirely justifiable for women to protect themselves in this way. It's a terrible thing to realize that many men can simply walk around outside at night without any fear, while women are understandably too scared to do the same. You know, it is actually quite insane how far Gavin was willing to go in order to achieve his depraved and disgusting fantasy. As many of you know, I cover many criminals here on Coffeehouse Crime. That is basically all I do here. Now, thankfully, Gavin was more on the less capable of all of them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this story would have ended very differently.
Very
the scary
badly.
thing here is that you never quite know what people might be thinking or planning in their minds, all behind the unidirectional window of the human eye. I think I'll end this video by saying that if you do fantasize about going on a coffee date with Nero or even myself, that is totally cool. Just please skip out the murder part. I don't like that. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video here.
Man, I'd love to get a cup of coffee with you, with Mike, man. I'd love to get cup of coffee with all the people I react to, man. I think that'd be fun as shit. No murder, though. No murder. No murder, just coffee. Maybe a donut or a crawler or something, you know what I mean? Alright, I really enjoyed today's video. Like, first time coming out of Coffeehouse Crime, not feeling so traumatized that it's ridiculous. First time coming out of Coffeehouse Crime, like, damn, that could have actually went a hell of a lot worse for a change. Man, we're going to take this win and we're going to run with it. If y'all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there and leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. While you're down there, go on over and slap that subscribe button. Become part of the Built for 1000 Nation. We do some crazy stuff here. And if you want to know when that crazy stuff happens, ding that bell and turn on all notifications. It usually don't work, but it might for you. And if you really want, you can go over and check out the Discord. It's amazing. And as always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Damn, Adrian. I think I might actually sleep halfway decent tonight. Thanks, man.